Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name's Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. We are in Silicon Valley and we are touring and speaking with some of the leading companies in the tech and telecom spaces. On our show today is Paul Singh. He's the co-founder and CEO of Social Nuggets. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Rich.
So we've known each other for almost, decade and a half, something like that.
Yes.
And you're at a new company that I'm very excited to hear all about. Why don't you give me the overview of what Social Nuggets does?
Sure. So Social Nuggets is a social media analytics company. And there are a lot of companies that allow you to basically listen and monitor. And then there are many companies who will just do the analysis for you. So if you might, we've taken both of these approaches where we give you an instant access to information. And we allow you to not only monitor, but also get some real sentiments, real data out of the information. So for example, we do consumer electronics as one of the verticals where we provide the instant access to data. We can tell a manufacturer or people who are interested in the industry to figure out, okay, let's say an iPhone 4 versus an HTC Thunderbolt. What is really the consumer sentiment, say, around battery life of each of these devices? Or how is the consumer thinking about this device versus some new handset that is coming?
Okay, and then what does the company do with that data?
So what we do is, we do two things with the data. One is we take that data and provide a portal to anybody who wants to come in, and today, for now, it is free, which is the socialnuggets.net, where you can see all the intelligence. Right now, we've released the smartphone data, and we've also released the banking. And we'll be adding next week the tablets data. So you can get a lot of the infographics, which is what we call nuggets, that we give you where you can see what is the general sentiment, what's going on. And then we are also selling, if you might, the whole data portal access as a SaaS service to companies that really want to do their own analysis, look at that data in their own way. And we have few customers. One of the customers we announced recently was the Consumer Electronic Association, which is actually looking at our data and then providing analytics out of it for their members.
So really this is kind of a two-part. It's kind of like social CRM, but it sounds like it's a deep dive analytics, almost like market research, live, real-time market research feedback, where you're helping companies immediately know what's happening.
Yes.
Out there. And then with this portal, which is free, it pretty much gives you an overview if I want to see what people are saying about this tablet versus that tablet versus this tablet.
Yes, we give you some of the data. We obviously don't give you all of the data, but we do provide a lot of data that, to an average person who may not be very much in tune with the industry, they can figure out what is going on. And so we continue to update that data on every month basis, sometimes every week basis. But for customers who buy the portal, the data is actually upgraded almost on a 24-hour basis.
Now, does most of the, or does the volume of the content come from Twitter and Facebook? Am I correct in that assumption?
No.
Okay.
So let me give you an idea. So for example, for smartphone, we analyze about 1 million conversations a month.
Okay.
And I would say about 60% of that comes out of Twitter.
Okay.
About 5% maybe comes out of Facebook.
Because a lot of them conversations are private, so that's what I was thinking.
We only look at public conversations. Right. And about 30% of this comes from forums.
Okay.
Android forums, Droid forums, Apple's forum, Mod MXY, XA forums, and so on. And then some of it comes from blogs, review sites, and others.
Okay, so that gives me a good sense. Now, Google Plus was just announced about 3 weeks ago. Do you sense it's early, but that will be a big contributor?
So I think from our point of view, this is yet another data point that we will add into our analysis, right? And we have been tracking some of it to just see what is the chatter going on. And we are finding that there is indeed it is generating quite a bit of chatter. And a lot of the conversations, unlike Facebook, are public.
Right.
So people haven't really learned how to do their privacy settings and other things. So that's why there is probably more public data yet.
Right.
Unlike Facebook.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost, I mean, I recently wrote about this, that it's going to be, Google Plus is more of a Facebook killer than a Twitter killer, but it does seem to me that from that perspective, that the conversations that I'm seeing they seem to be meant for the public, the ones that at least I'm seeing. So I'm getting the sense that people are almost looking at it like Facebook, but they're taking advantage of it in some ways like a Twitter without the 140 character limit. So
it's like a hybrid at this
point. It really
point.
seems
it's a hybrid because it is, at one level it is the Facebook aspect, then other side you have the Hangouts, and then you have the groups, which is sort of different, that didn't exist. So there is a lot of, I mean, I think that product has too many features, which
it's confusing,
which could be a problem.
Well, we actually we're out here with there's dozens of TMC and our partners here today, and we almost were talking about having a tutorial on Google Plus for everyone, just because some of us know some things, some of us know other things, and almost one of us get up at a time and just talk about all the things you can do with Google Plus. It is pretty amazing. Like you said, there's some complexity, but I want to get back to your company because I'm fascinated by what you're up to. If I'm a company out there, a potential customer, what is it that would let me know that I need to work with you or that I can benefit from your service? In other words, who's that target market and who's that target viewer right now that you want to go to your website and buy from you?
So in fact, on our website, we actually identify 4 target viewers. Customer service is one area.
Okay.
We also identify product management.
Okay.
We identify the marketing people, whether it's market research or marketing communications or advertising or whatever the case may be. And then even some end customers, we are seeing some end users coming to our site and saying, gee, okay, I was thinking of buying this phone. Let me see, but this phone is really not rated as high as I thought.
Right.
And so we are seeing some of the end customers also getting interested in the data and coming to our site. Because this is one of those fast-moving products that people are buying on an ongoing basis as the new products come in. And then we see a lot of the analytics groups within the companies who are trying to figure out, okay, I've always done numeric data. Now here is a textual data converted into numerics that I can put into my mix and really make some sense out of it.
I'm wondering if research and development shouldn't be a big part of your viewership as well, or of your purchasers.
When I say product management, I meant both product management as well as engineering, design, all the groups, because they're sort of all in the one bucket.
It's very, very logical.
Yeah.
And so then the second part of this is for companies to try to figure out what to do once they realize what people are saying.
Yeah, so I think companies are already, some of the companies we saw are spending a lot of money. So what they do is they buy this great tool to listen. Then they find out that, hey, I got some pretty charts, but I couldn't really make some more sense out of it. So then they go buy a very high-end product and spend another few months to get something useful, or they hire somebody else to really look at the data and give them some sense. So what we are saying is, rather than you investing that kind of money and time, if you are in any of the verticals that we are already servicing, you come to us, you have the data right away, you can consume from day one. And if you want to customize it, we'll let you customize it any which way you want. But at least right from the beginning, you got an instant gratification with a good quality data that you can make some sense out of.
So what's next?
We're going to add more verticals to the same thing because we have only added 2 verticals yet.
Okay.
And we're continuing to add even within consumer electronics because we have customers who are in various other segments of consumer electronics. So we are sort of collecting all of that data. And over time, we are probably going to build a tool that people could do what we do on their own as well.
Oh, okay, great.
Because everything cannot be done on their own today based on the current technology. So we are figuring out ways that we can actually give them enough that they can actually do all these changes on their own and really make some sense out of it.
You really have the hooks on the back end into all these different things, and nobody wants to recreate those hooks if they don't have to.
Exactly.
And so basically taking those hooks and then customizing their own solutions, and then maybe they can weight things more. They may want to weight Twitter more than they weight a user forum or something like that, right?
Well, so here is an interesting one. If I'm in customer service, listening to Twitter conversation really doesn't give me a whole lot of data, except for when somebody is tweeting with my handle to tell me there is a problem, which I can listen anyway, right? But what we found is that the meaningful conversation, so we also do, one of the charts we put out is the percentage of positive and negative conversations on each of the top 10 channels that we listen on. So for Twitter, we found about 20% usually is the one which has some sentiments, positive or negative, but 80% is neutral. While on the forums, we find that to be as high as 40 to 50%.
Are what?
Are meaningful
Are
conversations.
meaningful, 40 to 50%.
Where you can listen in, you can figure out
Sure.
what people are really saying, or does somebody really have a problem that is talking about. So, I mean, in some ways, a lot of our data is also useful for somebody to figure out, hey, how do I put my advertising budget
Right.
in social media on? Should I go advertise on Twitter, or are my users hanging out on Facebook? Are they really even talking about it on
That
Facebook?
makes sense too.
Or on forums, or whatever.
That makes
it
a
is.
lot of sense. And then with Twitter, does it make sense, or does it matter if people use hashtags or not? Do you
No,
find there's any difference?
We can find it. We can find either way, but with hashtags, it is much more efficient for us, obviously.
Okay.
But we can find either way.
Well, thanks for being on the program. This is great.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you again.
Thanks a lot. Let me get my